There's a lot to be said. Things I've screamed about for years. I spoke up as often as I could. There's this thing that I always got kind of chastised for by my brother, where we would get yelled at and screamed at by our father. And I would always fight back, especially when I felt like he was wrong. And he was wrong a lot of the time, just taking out his anger because he was an angry man surrounded by emptiness. He only saw going to work and coming home, and he wasn't able to express any other emotion except anger because that was the only emotion he was allowed to feel. And he was clearly a depressed, closeted person with a partner he was married to that was not a good partner to him. And he would come home and he would yell and he would scream and he would fight and he would take it out on us. A lot of it for not cleaning the house. Fair. We were kids who didn't do our chores. But he would fight us and he would yell at us and he would sometimes hurt us. And I would always fight back. Especially when he was wrong. And he was wrong a lot. And my brother would tell me how angry that made him. Specifically, my brother, who was a little younger than me. And he would tell me that was one of the things he hated about me, was because I would fight it. And I would yell, and I would make it last longer than it should have in his eyes. He said that if I had just, shut up and just took it, that it would go away and it would be done faster. There's a song Front Bottoms did, and one of the lyrics is, I am part Cherokee because my great-grandfather took something that didn't belong to him. And that similar. I mean, I think we're all part Native American because our ancestors took something that didn't belong to them. And I say that because my mom did this thing where she gave us all Native American names, which was definite cultural appropriation. But something she nicknamed me was Fighting Man, because I was always fighting. I would always fight them constantly on so many things. I was just always fighting, arguing. Even if I was wrong, I was a fighting person. I would always argue it. I would always debate. That was something my brother hated. He's like, you always made it last longer when you could just shut up and let it go. I would think about that. I think about a lot that I was always fighting, and I was always causing some sort of debate or argument, especially with my dad, who was abusing us. Am I wrong for fighting this? For always arguing? For always standing up for myself? And I can't remember the last time I spoke to my dad. 2017, maybe a little bit later, maybe a couple times. He tried hitting me up on Facebook a few times. He sent me and my brother a letter, an email once, saying that we had to help their father, our father. I never figured out what that was. He was a person who would work every single day, and he would tell you, you just got to cross your T's and dot your I's. That's all you have to do, and just go to work and be a good worker. And they were always aiming for retirement, and retirement age is 65. And my father had a stroke at 63. Very ironic. Not funny because I think it's funny he was hurt. But I think it was funny that you just got to cross your I's and dot your T's. I know it's wrong, but and that's all you have to do. And my brother saying you just had to shut up and just deal with it, and it would go by so quick. And there was this one time I was living at my grandmother's, and my grandfather was a horrible, horrible person. I will not pretend like he wasn't, because he was. And my grandfather was watching a documentary about World War II with my grandmother and my mom, and I was walking by the bathroom. And as I was walking away from the bathroom, I heard my grandfather say to my mother that Hitler was a good man. And I remember stopping in my tracks and thinking to myself, like, am I really going to lose my shit over this? Is this something that's worth it to lose my shit over? And I thought about it. And I said, yeah, this is worth it. And I lost my fucking mind. And I screamed and I yelled. And they looked at me like, oh, you can have your opinions and we can have ours. I'm like, no. This is not an opinion to have. This is disgusting. This is evil. And I thought I would regret reacting that way, because there's a lot of times where I regretted the way I acted and the way I reacted with anger and aggression and fighting words and whatnot. There's a lot of times that I've done that I've regretted. But not this time. And I say that because there's a lot of problems in my family. A lot of them. My mother used to teach me about cryptids and Mothman and Bigfoot, and she painted a beautiful scene of the Loch Ness Monster sticking its head out of the water, like in front of my bed. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful thing that I got to wake up to every morning and see, and I was so happy and proud of my mother for sharing that with me. The years went on, and she fell into Alex Jones. 2006, she got a graveyard shift and started listening to Coast to Coast and Alex Jones, and she fell down a bad path. And she taught me a lot of it. Like, I would go to school in like 6th grade and be just scared out of my mind, going, why the fuck are we sitting here when all of these things my mother was telling me are in my head, and I'm just so fucking scared because I'm a kid in math class and English, just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. It's so goddamn scary. Everything my mom was telling me, these conspiracy theories, these aliens, these demons, these people that controlled us, who are harming us. Why are we just sitting here? Years went by, and my parents divorced. Big fallout. Our family essentially disintegrated, gone. And we all went our separate ways in order to survive. My brother, my sister, and my mom lived together, and I was, at my grandmother's. I spent a lot of my time and my energy into trying to find my own community, and I went down other paths. I met people that I never would have, learned perspectives I never would have if I stayed with them. I experienced things I never would have if I never left, and if I only listened to the people that I was trusted to listen to. If I just followed along to the people who told me what to do. If I just shut up and let it happen, I would have never become the person I am today. I would have never grown as an individual. And there comes a point where you grow and you learn your own principles, your own morals, your own values, and you look around and you say, this isn't right. This isn't right. And when you challenge those things that should be challenged, a well-rounded, open-minded person would look at that and think about it and really decide if this is right, if this is moral, if this is just, if this is fair. And the people who don't, I think, deserve to be left behind for them to figure it out. And sometimes they won't figure it out. And sometimes you'll stay behind for a long time, screaming, trying to convince someone to just listen, to just think about it, to just open a book, to just look around. You'll waste years of your life to people that you love and care about, trying, just pleading with them, please, just look around, think about it. Don't just look at me and say that I'm another conspiracy theorist like my mom. Don't just sit there and pretend like it's going to be okay, like this is how it's supposed to be, because it can be better. It can be so much better. People will look at you and say, like, this is as good as it gets. It was so much worse back then. It was so much worse. Look what we have right now. Why are you complaining about a good thing? But it's not a good thing. Just look around. Talk to the people who are suffering. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to think about, why are they saying it? They're not just lazy. They're not just trying to trick you. There are some evil people out there that this system allows to flourish. Because if you don't give a fuck about somebody, if you don't care about how you affect other people, in this system, that allows you to rise to the top. And you need to actually sit there and think about that and understand that that is not right, that is not just, that is not fair. It is not good. When things started going belly up and when things started getting a lot worse in the world, and it has gotten a lot worse, when that started happening, I really had to cut some ties. And I thought about how I was going to do it and how I was going to explain myself. And I wrote out this long thing to explain myself that I was going to send into a group chat with these people I cared about. And dust it off. If you can read all of that and still believe the way that you believe and don't want to give me any respect or credit that I might be saying something that's genuine from the heart, then you know what? Goodbye. And I wrote it all out, and then I sat there looking at it. I'm like, they're not going to read this. They're not going to give a fuck. They're not going to care. They're not going to read this. So instead of even sending that, all I said was the poem. First they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak out because I'm not an immigrant. Then they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a communist. And then they came for me, and no one else was left to speak up. Short and sweet. That's how I stand. This is what I mean. Accept it. Don't. Do what you're going to do. Live your little fantasy life. Pretend like this is how it's supposed to be and that you're a good little person. And now, a couple years later, I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to stand up and say anything because I really didn't think my voice mattered. I really didn't think that my channel was a position, a platform to say anything that someone would take seriously. I barely have 200 subscribers, and no one ever watched my content in the first place. But I still think it's important to say things. I still think it's important to stand up, regardless, and just say how you feel, because if this is good for you, then you're a terrible person. if you're okay with this, and okay with pretending, or okay with just not looking into anything, then you're a terrible person. And maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it was the way that you were taught. But it's your duty to do better, to become a better person, to learn things that you weren't taught so you can be a better person to the people around you. And if you didn't grow up, if you didn't move away from your people that taught you everything, and if you don't go and have new experiences and meet new people with different perspectives, then you're not going to grow. And that's something you need. The only reason I'm a better person than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however long ago, is because the people I have in my life who called me out when I needed to be called out, who talked to me when I needed to be talked to, who held me when I needed to be held. And there are people that I truly still love and care about, that I think that might watch this video, who I want to change and who I want to be better people. And I've been crying and screaming for you to just think. And I know change is scary. To think about how fucked up the world really is scary. And it's easy just to put your head in the sands. But if you want to be a good person, truly be a good person, not just be a good person to the people around you, not just following the rules that they gave you so you can be a good person in their eyes and only their eyes, you can. But I wanted to read this because I didn't get a chance to actually send it in the group chat. Because I didn't think they would listen. And I still don't think they would listen. But maybe this will be good for other people. So I'm just going to read it. And apologies if I don't look directly into the camera. But I'm going to be reading this. Goodbye to the only ones I loved the most. Read this carefully because it's probably the last thing you'll hear from me. I've stared at this phone for too long, hoping in vain that one of you would reach out in order to show that you care about our friendship. Especially after I poured my heart out to you months ago only to receive a reply or two and then nothing at all. That was the best answer I could have ever received, and I suppose that's fine. I spent years pushing and falling deeper into self-hatred because I was convinced that somehow I could do something to earn the same love and respect I had for all of you. But yet time and time again I found myself at the center of judgment by the people that were supposed to be my family. This country is falling into a pit that you all will pretend is not there. You'll call me a conspiracy theorist like my mother in order to ignore my calls for understanding the reality of what's been happening. I don't have to ask who you voted for, even if you didn't vote at all. I've been present enough with all of you to know that none of you are interested in nuance or growing as people. You're far too okay with sitting back in the comfort of lives that were handed to you while casting judgment down on others who had no such luxury as options. Some of you came from the same cloth but jumped at the chance of the same life our predecessors had and never looked back. I'm sorry I couldn't accept that place in the sand. The people I've met, the experiences I've had, both good and bad, allowed me to look inward and see that what we were raised on wasn't normal. Hell, it's not even healthy. The way our system works is that if you follow the rules and listen to what your elders tell you, then you'll be treated fairly. Sounds like a threat to me. I wanted something different. I screamed out how much I didn't want to live the same way, and that made a lot of people upset with me. I admit I didn't go about it in the right way, but when the walls are closing in on you and the people you call family don't care to hide their disdain for you while at the same time speaking out about their hatred for everyone who doesn't look like them or think like them, that's when the blood boils and a single spark can set my world ablaze. I tried to talk it out, but it never mattered. Communication isn't this family's strong suit, but I've given up on trying to see the good in the people who claim to be good people because they go to a building once a week where they tell you that a certain people are deserving of goodness and others aren't. I don't know how to spell it out anymore, but that doesn't make a good person. In fact, I'd say those same people who refuse to speak out when their family members are being mentally, emotionally, and physically abused are some pretty rotten souls. Getting kicked out of a house because I confronted a degenerate who touched my underage cousin and made her feel unsafe is the only evidence I need to say that those people are more evil than any other person I've ever met. I've been told not to worry about these people because they aren't needle movers, and they don't matter to the grand scheme of the world, but here's the thing. They hurt the people around you, and that should piss you off. We were all children traumatized by other traumatized children who grew up and had more children. The cycle continued, and now we're here, a bunch of traumatized children who grew up and didn't know how to break the cycle, and now we're all isolated, unable to give and feel the love we once knew, and pretending that it's normal. It's not. Telling yourself, if I don't do anything and I just take it, it'll be over quicker, doesn't make it any less damaging for the people who have to endure. It doesn't make it any less cruel to the people who will continue in this life thinking that they deserved it. And it doesn't make it stop. It just continues. But even worse, the people who dealt with this pain and suffering will continue on thinking that this is normal when it fucking isn't. We were supposed to believe in freedom, but we don't. We believe that we have the freedom to fail, which is why none of us try. But god damn it, I try, and I'm proud of myself for that. I've tried so many times and failed, got back up and tried again. I dedicated years to trying to keep us together, to trying to be the person you all wanted me to be, but it was never good enough. You don't believe in freedom. If you did, you would not turn to leaders who are hell-bent on limiting people's rights to choose or any options at all. I don't give a damn if you think your way of thinking is correct. You have no right to tell other people how to live their life. You might think you have a gotcha on me, because how do we have the right to ask those handful of people who hold all the power they say they've earned to take care of the rest of us? I could go on about how no one can earn that much power in a genuine way or without doing evil things, or how we can't even conceptualize how much power those people really have, but I won't. Because I know there's at least one person in here who knows very deeply that with great power comes great responsibility. But here we are, millions of Americans in the same boat as me who feel unsafe in this world we created by allowing people like our family, bullies, to just keep talking and keep hurting others around us. Cowards. All of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves to speak the name of Jesus while judging anyone. Jesus would be pissed to see the world that people claim they're making in his name. Go ahead and wave off my words on religion because you think I'm not a believer, but I believe in what Jesus wanted from his followers and the actual words he spoke. Not this hollow depiction of Jesus made in order to win elections and target minorities. I went to Catholic Church and Southern Baptist Church. I've read more about religion than you think, and it's always been used as a tool for governments and cults to achieve their goals. But let's actually read the Bible. Leviticus 19:33, when the alien lives with you in your land, do not mistreat them. The alien living with you must be treated as one of your native born. Proverbs 13:31, he who oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. James 4:12, there is only one lawgiver and judge, the one who is able to save and destroy, but you, who are you to judge thy neighbor? These are some of the quotes that I remember the most from the times I read the Bible, and it is being used as a prop to do the exact opposite of its teachings. I'm not asking you to stop being Christians, I'm asking you to be a Christian. I've been with my community for months, mourning with them. 2 people I knew who were so scared for their existence killed themselves. Some have been beaten for existing as their identity or cast out from their families. I sat on a couch holding my friends while she cried harder than I ever heard someone cry before after her rights to her own body were taken from her. She had been assaulted before and was grateful for the rights that are now gone because of ignorance. Meanwhile, people you break bread with throw their head back and praise the Lord or laugh at the libs. Fucking shameful. and truly not what Jesus would be standing for. Our neighbors are under attack. Money and borders aren't real, they're made up, and we're letting children die over it. I don't know how I'm the only one radicalized by this, but that's fine. I'm not going to stick around and try to convince any of you any longer. I've been doing it for too long, and you never respected me enough to hear me out, or you just wanted to remain in ignorance. Either way, I don't want to sit here and see the people I loved more than life itself defend a Nazi, or the fascism that's following. First they came for the immigrants, and that was fine because I'm not an immigrant. And then they came for the gays, and that was fine because I'm not gay. And then they came for me, but by then there is no one else to speak up for me. Use your brain for once in your fucking life instead of clinging to a lie in order to feel content and safe. Realize that this isn't me trying to say, I told you so. I never cared about being right. God, do I hope that I'm wrong. But we won't be the only ones suffering if I'm right. Your loved ones, your children, everyone on this planet will be victims to what our ignorance has allowed to step forward into the light. This is where your I don't agree with it, but mentality brings us. A country filled with hate because they think they're in the right, all because of a single misinterpreted book. Of course, you can use the no true Scotsman argument and say that they're not real Christians, and for sake of argument, let's say fine. They're not real Christians. But are the real Christians doing something about it? Are they speaking out? Are you speaking out? Who did the real Christians vote for? Who did you vote for? Answer those questions on your own time. I'm realizing that most of you only ever saw me as a joke to be laughed at or as a burden you were obligated to help out. I don't want to be that for any of you, and as grateful as I have always been for your help, I am heartbroken that any of you are comfortable with the silence of our new lives. No matter what happened, I would champion all of you for the simple fact that I loved you, and I trusted that you were doing right by your good principles and that deep down you were good people and that you cared. But time and time again, I could see the cracks. People who cared would find a way to show it in some capacity, go out of their way to get to know you, reach out when it had been a while, or value something a loved one cared about for the sheer fact that you care about that person. If you didn't read all of this and skim through or ignored most of it, I hope that proves to yourself how much you really don't care about me or my thoughts. I hope you understand now how much you don't really respect me. I used to argue that we were friends, while you all said we were family. You said that it meant more than just being friends. I would tell you that I have a lot of family I don't care for. Blood means nothing to me. I stand by this. But now I sit here and realize that we're not even friends anymore, and the name of this group chat is incredibly ironic. There's the fam. I may not have committed myself to the same lifestyles as you all, and I may not have the same principles as any of you, but you're goddamn right that I stand up for what I believe in. I've always stood my ground, whether it was a bully or my own father or anyone else who looked me in the eyes and told me that this is reality. Learn to live with it. Reality changes constantly, and I will not stand for unfair, unjust, and downright evil practices. I care only about my fellow human beings, not about advancement in some meaningless career or trying to be better than anyone. When the whole world, including my family, stood in front of me to tell me to move, I planted my feet and said, "No, you move." Go ahead and say I made a scene and that I caused drama. Say that I'm not polite and just a hothead, but being nice has never made you understand what you're trying to avoid looking at. Maybe you need to practice standing on your own principles and beliefs, because if you truly believe in the words of Jesus, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in freedom, here's your chance. Fucking do something. Just like on January 6th when they walked the insurrectionists out holding their hand when we all knew there's one reason they weren't Swiss cheese. Just like when the pandemic happened and people didn't care about everyone else's safety, causing 2 people in our lives to die. Just like when the police openly murdered George Floyd, which is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the police killing citizens. It never matters what happens, it never matters the chaos, and it never matters how polite someone is. you choose to ignore it. And to steal a phrase I've heard my entire life, this is the reality. If you ever want to talk to me again, I'll only accept a real conversation and an apology followed by what we're gonna do to save this world. If not, then I hope you stare in the mirror every day for the rest of your life knowing that no matter how much you hide behind your Christian values and a fake smile, that deep down you are not a good person. I wrote that years ago when things just started heating up, and it goes double, triple, quadruple today. If you can't look in the eye of what's happening, then you're not a good person. If you're not speaking out and saying anything, you're not a good person. If you have no desire to fix or change any of this, then you're not a good person. And the people in your life are going to suffer. It's just a matter of time. Re-listen to this video as many times as you need. Call me whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me anymore if you think anything about this is okay.